Hello and welcome to my channel. I have here 3 of AMK's mini-series Transformers model kits. There are 6 to collect in total, and when you look at the back you can see the 3 I don't have, which is Soundwave, Bumblebee and Grimlock. Let's put a couple of these to one side for now and concentrate on Megatron. These boxes are sealed, so I've not looked inside them yet. There's just a small strip of tape to cut and we're inside. And the first thing we can see is a plastic tray, and all the pieces are nicely laid out on it. We can take a better look when we get rid of the cover, and we can see how nice and neatly everything is presented. We also have the instructions, although everything looks pretty self-explanatory. So without further ado, let's get Megatron built up. All the parts are connected by pegs or ball joints, and these are not proper transformers, by the way. They don't transform, but they do look cool on your shelf. These kits are designed for ages 8 and up, and that's great news for me. Some of these parts are a little bit stiff, so you have to do a little bit of wiggling to get them into place. So basically for Megatron, his arms come in 3 pieces, his legs come in 3 pieces, and his body comes in 3 pieces. So you can't get much simpler than that. These kits also come complete with 2 pairs of alternate hands. So we have the pointed hand, we've got the grip hand, which can also hold a weapon, then we've got the open hand. Right, I'm attaching all the limbs onto the body now. Some brute force is required. I found it easier just to tip the tray over to see what parts are left. Other than the spare hand, we have the 2 gun pieces. One slots onto his wrist, while the other one goes onto his back. Although ironically, the one on his wrist is a sight when he's in gun form, but it's a gun in this form. Strange. Right, that's Megatron all done. Like I said before, he doesn't transform into his alternate form, but he is quite posable. As you can see in these examples, you'll also be able to see some of the gap between the pieces. Like I said before, some of these are stiff and very hard to push together, but if you change the pieces enough time, they'll start to wear down and should get a bit easier to change. For somebody who grew up watching the original 1980s cartoon, this for me is a very good representation, and it certainly takes me back to my childhood. Well, we have another 2 kits to look at, so let's move on to the next one. And I think that's going to have to be the leader of the Autobots, Optimus Prime. So let's cut open the seal and slide him out. Just like with Megatron, everything comes on a nice neat tray. Plus we also have a set of instructions for those who can't figure out how to assemble this. Yep, there's a bit of foreshadowing there. The head and body is a good place to start before moving on to the limbs. And straight away, I put on his right arm upside down. Although in my defence, it has been 40 years since I last watched the cartoon. I do eventually revert to the instructions and correct my mistake. Although I do get the left arm right, which you can see when you compare the 2 next to each other. I slowly work my way down his body, adding his abdomen, before moving on to his legs. And you can see he's got 2 pairs of alternate hands. And they might look familiar to you, because they're the exact same hands that Megatron has, but just in a different colour. So if we wanted to, we could do disco poses for all the figures. If you've seen Night Fever, you'll understand that reference. For now, I'll swap out one of his hands for a gripping hand, this way he can hold his blaster. And that's Optimus Prime fully assembled. He has the same possibility options as Megatron, and once again it's a very good likeness for the original cartoon, both in design and colour. The ball joints in his legs and feet do a very good job of keeping him upright, so you can create a more action orientated pose without him falling over. Right, I'm going to swap his hand again and put his gun back on. And once again, I have quite a lot of posing options. And there aren't too many giveaways that this is not a real Transformer. Right, we have one more figure to look at, and that's Megatron's treacherous second in command, Starscream. Just need to release him from his binds and check out his disassembled form. And just like the other 2, it comes in nice neat packaging along with a set of instructions. Right, let's get him assembled. Starscream has a lot more parts which jut out, so it makes it a little bit more tricky to put things into place. As you can see, I've really struggled with his abdomen because I don't want to risk breaking the wings. I also had the similar problem with the head. Nonetheless, the arms and the legs go together very quickly. Once again, there are 3 main parts to each limb, basically a top, middle and bottom. You may also notice the exact same pair hands from the other two sets, but once again in a different colour. It took me a little while to figure out which way the arms go together, but I got there in the end. This is why we have instructions. To pop the legs into place, you have to once again work around the wings, so you just need to take care and try not to break anything. Next the arms go on, and they go on without any issue. And then finally we're going to attach the laser guns to each arm. And just in case you didn't know, Starscream is actually a fighter plane. And that's him fully assembled. And once again, he completely looks like his 1984 counterpart, and I am displaying him in the disco pose. He has pretty much the same articulation as the other two models, which is good because that way you can interact them with each other. I'm going to swap out his hands and change his position again, but this time in some sort of an action pose. And there he is shooting his laser guns. Unfortunately there's no cover on the underside of his hands, so you can see inside it, and this makes it look a little bit cheap. And it would have been nice to have had this part covered up and match the rest of the figure. So anyway, that concludes our look at these three figures from AMK. There are three more currently available, which is Soundwave, Bumblebee and Grimlock. So I'm going to have to keep my eye out for those. But until then, Autobots roll out. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if I can do it, so can you.